everyone, Angela Langlotz, business and trademark law attorney here, going live as I do every weekday to talk about business and trademark matters. If you like this video, please feel free to share it with your colleagues or friends or whatever you want to call them. That'd be great. Today, I'm going to talk about some mistakes that people make when they're using their trademarks. I often get this question, well, how do I properly use my trademark? So let's talk about that. Now, in order to maintain your trademark rights after you register it, you have to use your trademark properly. If you misuse it, you either run the risk of your mark becoming generic, which I'll talk about first, or you risk not actually using your mark on the goods for which you have the registration. And that's another big mistake that I see people making. So, major mistake number one, using your trademark as a noun rather than an adjective. Remember, trademarks function as source identifiers. What does that mean? It means that the sole function of the trademark is to distinguish your goods from another company's goods and or services. It applies to services too. So if you use your trademark as a noun, it's no longer serving as a source identifier. Let me give an example. KLEENEX, right? Okay, so here's the KLEENEX. I like to use this example. Do you see how it says KLEENEX? I don't know if you can read it. It says KLEENEX brand tissue. Sometimes they say KLEENEX brand facial tissue. It's kind of hard to get this onto the screen, but you see it says KLEENEX brand tissue, right? All right, so KLEENEX brand tissue. Why do they say KLEENEX brand tissue rather than just KLEENEX? Well, because if you start using your trademark as a noun, in other words, the mark is the thing, right? So if we call this KLEENEX, then it means that I'm saying if you have a runny nose, grab a KLEENEX. That's use of the mark as a noun and not as an adjective. Proper trademark use would be if you have a runny nose, grab a KLEENEX brand facial tissue. Why does this matter? Because if you use the mark as the name for the thing for which the goods for which you have the trademark, then you are no longer using that as a source identifier. You're using it as a noun. In other words, the mark is the thing. When that happens, if it happens enough, your mark will become generic over time. When your mark becomes generic, you lose your trademark rights. Your trademark is no longer serving as a source identifier. It's now identifying the goods themselves. You may think that this doesn't happen. It does. It happened to marks like escalator. So instead of calling it an escalator brand moving staircase, people started calling it an escalator, and the escalator company did nothing about it. It became generic. Other examples, zipper. Zipper is great. It was no longer used as a zipper closure. People started calling it a zipper. And it's nice when your mark becomes so ubiquitous that now people are using it as the noun, but it's not so cool when you lose your trademark rights. So don't do that. Use the mark properly. It is a trademark brand thing, okay? A KLEENEX brand facial tissue. So watch out for that. Major mistake number two is not using your trademark with the goods and services for which you own the trademark registration. How does this happen? Well, let's say that someone gets a trademark registration for a certain brand, a certain mark for coffee cups. And she's selling coffee cups, and then she also starts selling t-shirts and other clothing under the same brand. Well, the t-shirts sell like hotcakes. The coffee cups, not so much. So the trademark owner stops using the brand on coffee cups. Coffee cups are in international class 21, and starts using it on clothing in international class 25, right? But her trademark is still for the goods in international class 21. When she abandons use of the mark in international class 21, she's now no longer, coffee cups, she's no longer using the mark. Using the mark means that you are applying the mark to the goods that are listed in your trademark registration. Yes, you can apply it to other goods as well. And if you start doing that, then you should get a registration for those goods in that class. When you abandon your use in the class for which your goods are registered, you are no longer using the trademark. And remember, you cannot maintain a trademark in the absence of use. If you stop using it, you no longer have trademark rights. When you go to renew your trademarks at year 5, you won't be able to say, hey, we're using the mark in commerce. You're no longer using it. You've abandoned your use. You did start using it on other goods, but those goods are not listed in your trademark registration. Therefore, you have abandoned, effectively, use of your trademark for the goods for which the mark is registered. So what should you do? You should either you can expressly abandon, although that's not necessary, but it's good form, right? To expressly abandon your mark or not renew it if you're no longer using the mark on those goods. What if you lie and say, oh, I'm still using it. I want to prevent a competitor from using a similar mark on coffee cups. So I am going to maintain this mark even though I'm going to pay the renewal fee, even though I'm not really using it. Well, then you run the risk of being accused of fraud and losing your registration based on your fraud. So it's never good to lie on a trademark application or on a trademark renewal. If you do that, you run the risk of losing your mark down the road based on your fraud. It's not curable, okay? So if you commit fraud, you're in danger of losing your trademark rights, not just to the goods listed in the application for which you committed the fraud, but if you have other goods listed on that registration, you'll lose the rights to those as well. So don't play around with that. So I'm Angela Langlotz. I go live every weekday to talk about trademark and business law matters. You can find me online at TrademarkDoctor.net. You can also like my Facebook page at facebook.com/TrademarkDoctor, and you'll be notified every time I go live, which is every weekday, kind of whenever I feel like it. I'll see you tomorrow.